following is a Comfortably Zoned Radio Network production.
Thank you, Tally Olson. Welcome back to another edition of Mets in the Zone. I'm Ralph Tyko with the Comfortably Zoned Radio Network, and the hosts, the Mavens, the Met Mavens are here, Robert Cole and Marty Rose. Start with Marty Rose because, Marty, you experienced a spring training baseball game for the first time in your life. And you must be over 40 by now.
Yeah, slightly.
All right.
Well, it's the first time I've been I've been in Florida for 4 years now, but living in Jacksonville all that time, I wasn't near anything. But now, where I am in Celebration, which is just south of Orlando, there's a few places nearby, and the closest one is Lakeland, where the Tigers play, and it's only about a half hour. So Peggy and I went, and it was a beautiful day, and we had a nice time. Very nice stadium in Lakeland. We had seats just, I'd say about maybe 10 rows above the Mets dugout, and was nice. It was really nice. And I'll tell you, it's the first time I've sat behind the new screens that they've put up, and you can hardly even notice they're there. So, it's really not a factor at all.
Good.
Some stuff people have been talking about.
Robert, I want you to talk just a little bit about the differences in spring training experiences for the fans since you came to Florida till now. What the changes have been?
Well, the biggest change has been in the prices, for the most part. Also, now players don't go on the road, and except for the few that have to. Okay, in the so-called olden days, the regular players, they just traveled all over Florida on a bus, and the fans got to see regular players all the time. That doesn't happen anymore. If you're like Marty went to Lakeland, okay, so he would have seen the Tigers, and he probably saw maybe 3 or 4 tops Mets players that are expected to make the roster. Right, Marty?
Probably less, Robert, to tell you the truth. So it's kind of a long trip from Port St. Lucie to Lakeland. It's got to be 2.5 hours, I would think. So I'll tell you, the only guy in the lineup that has a chance to be in the lineup opening day was Davis, and he went down like he was shot, and he laid on the ground for a long time, not even moving, and nobody's even going to him. He's just laying there on the ground. I'm saying, geez, somebody better get up and help this guy. He's not even moving. So, finally, they get over to him, and he's still laying on the ground. Finally gets up, and luckily they claim it was only a minor injury, but it sure as heck looked like a really bad shoulder injury when he came up.
Well, I was listening to it on the radio, on the Tigers feed, and they thought he was seriously hurt.
It definitely looked like that. But getting back to the original question, Davis was the only guy in the starting lineup that, he will make the team. There may be, Marisnik will make the team also. He was out, in the outfield. But the rest of those guys, Jimenez, Adams, Cordell, Nito, Parker, Moroff, Tebow, that was the starting lineup. I mean, none of these guys are going to be on the. Maybe Nito got a shot.
Yeah. Well,
not as a starter, but I mean,
right.
These other guys aren't even going to make the team at all. So, yeah. And it just got worse. At least I got to see Waka.
Right.
I see Waka started through 2 innings, 17 pitches. And then, the parade of nobodies. Zamboa, Payano, Gilliam, Tago, Usella, guys like that who, won't make the team either.
Right.
But, look, it was a nice day out. But as you said, a little pricey for what we saw.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean,
and
the
that's
Tigers
why,
had their starters out there.
Yeah. And that's why several years ago MLB put in that rule that, at least 4 players that are expected to make the roster, and the Mets fulfilled that, with Nito, Davis, Marisnik, and Walker. So they basically filled the letter of that rule. But getting back to your original question, the biggest difference, Ralph, back in our youth, in our days, okay, the guys would travel from St. Pete to Miami for a game. Okay, the regulars. Okay,
right.
They would travel from Fort Lauderdale to Orlando. That was normal travel. I mean, that was expected of them. Now, like we were just talking, these guys don't travel at all, except for those couple that have to.
Yeah, well, that's part of the union trip too.
Probably. Probably.
Yeah.
Now, once in a while a guy will ask to go on a road trip because, he's going back to either his hometown or where he played minor league ball or college or something like that. But other than that, no. I mean, these guys, they don't travel. And I guess you get a chance to see the younger guys. But that's really the biggest difference. And also the fact that nobody plays a full game until maybe the last week.
Right.
Once again, in the old days, the guys played full games, and you don't see that anymore. They try to get them 2 at-bats, 3 tops, and then they're out.
Yeah.
Also, just to let you know, okay, I had to drive a school to the Tampa Stadium last week, and I parked the bus in the players' parking lot, the employee parking lot, and I could have gone in. I had a ticket, but I stayed in the bus because there was so much interesting stuff going on. Guys coming and going. I was just watching everything. Come the 6th inning, okay, the Rays were playing. The Rays had 2 buses there, okay. All the starting players and the pitchers that pitched already got on the first bus. That bus left. I mean, it was only the 6th inning. And then I started seeing Yankee players coming out in their uniforms, didn't even bother to change, and leave it in their cars. So, it's totally different than it used to be.
Very interesting. Overall, Marty, you enjoyed it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's baseball, Really,
right.
For the first time this year, I'm seeing baseball, and I'm seeing it live. Which,
now, I want
to
talk about the family experience. Now, Peg certainly isn't an avid baseball fan. She was there. I read her posts. She enjoyed it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, she did. And we saw Tim Tebow hit a home run.
Right.
Live.
Right. I listened to that game on the radio, too. You mentioned it, Robert. Yes, that was a highlight. And the center fielder from Tampa hit a home run too, Mazurzak, or however you pronounce it. Didn't he hit a home run that game, or
no?
Maybe.
No, I don't think Marisnik hit a home run game.
Somebody else. Maybe it was. I can't think of who. Maybe it was J.D. Davis.
Some guy named Parker.
J.D. Thomas.
No.
Parker did.
Parker. Okay.
Yes, yeah. Parker. Parker's the guy who showed real flashes with the Giants a year or so ago. And he was playing well. If I remember correctly, got hurt and took himself out of the mix. He could be one of the. I always fall in love with guys who played out here and go to the Mets. My last experience with that was Lowry, who came from Oakland, and I touted him as someone who could really help them. And if he were healthy, he really would help them if he could come back to form.
Unfortunately, you've yet to see him play in a game.
Right.
Well, you know who they have. If he's not ready, I believe they have Eduardo Nunez.
Nunez, yes.
And he's been in 6 games and he's 5 for 15. So if Lowry's not ready, they could just put Nunez on the roster and just tell Lowry to take a hike because he hasn't played a game yet and he doesn't even seem like he's close to doing that.
No. And Nunez is a professional bat. The guy can hit. Yeah. He's not the greatest fielder in the world, but he can play second, short, and third. And so I mean, in a pinch, but he definitely has a professional bat.
Definitely, yeah, for sure. So that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Now, how about Cespedes? What's his what's going on with him? Start with you, Robert.
Mid-March timetable for him to start playing games, and then it's a matter of whether he can, and the management pronounces him fit to play games. He insists he'll be in the opening day lineup. He's adamant about that. So, once he starts playing in mid-March, we'll get to see. Lowry, there's no timetable other than the fact that he's wearing a brace still, big, bulky, heavy brace from his ankle to his mid-thigh. So.
What was it, a repaired knee? Did they go in and repair it?
Last year, every time he supposedly was going to get ready, he hurt something else. It was a knee, it was an ankle, it was a thigh, it was a hip. I mean, every time the guy walked on the field, he hurt something. So, I don't know what to say about him.
Okay. Any more?
I'm sorry, go ahead, Ralph.
No, you go ahead, Marty.
I was going to say that there was some chatter today online about the Yankees inquiring about Steven Matz. And today was the first day I saw that. Now, I don't, because the Mets do have 6 starters at the moment. And, the Yankees got serious pitching problems.
Severino went down recently.
Yeah. So they definitely got pitching problems. But I don't know what they would offer the Mets. I mean, I saw this Andujar and Duhar's name mentioned, but I don't particularly think he's good enough. Just him by himself.
No, not a one-on-one.
No, so
wouldn't do that one-on-one.
No, but yeah, so that was brought up today, and the other thing.
Maybe they'll take Cano back.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, that's what they should do. They say, yeah, you can have Mats. We want this, this, and this. But, by the way, you got to take Cano.
Right. And this, and this, if you take Cano, will be greatly reduced.
Excellent, Ralph. I'm going to put you in touch with management and see if you can get that going.
My other great idea today, and this is off baseball, right? Biden and Bernie, we're going to let Anita Hill be vice president and choose who she wants to be vice president for. Let her decide, Bernie or Biden. see who that is. So I'm an idea man today.
You've been in the herb garden again, haven't you, Ralph?
Well, yes, I live there. I have a zip code. I have a mailbox. They come with the. And when I'm not in the garden, I'm in the kitchen with the brownies. So there you go. You know where to find me. And then after that, I take a wander into the park, spend maybe an hour, hour and a half sitting there watching basketball, watching tennis, throwing my baseball against the wall. Come back. There's a McDonald's across the street. I get a small mocha frappe. And my life is complete. It's a simple man in a simple little body going about his business. That's retirement.
There you go.
Alameda, California, ladies and gentlemen. All right.
Nice.
Yeah. Nice. I saw pictures that you posted today, Mert. You live in a paradise.
Well, look, I live 10 minutes from Disney World, and they have a special deal. Excuse me, a special deal for Florida residents, where you can buy an annual pass, and there's levels. There's like platinum, gold, silver, blah blah blah, and so we bought the silver passes for the year, and we could go like any day we want to go, except there's blackout days in the summer, which you wouldn't want to go in the summer. It's so hot, and like around Christmas time maybe, you can't go then, but with the pass, you know how much parking is? $25 to park your car, even before you buy it.
Oh, this is spring, not spring training.
This is Disney World.
Disney World, right.
So, I mean, with the annual pass, parking is free, and, you pay a certain amount every month, just like you're paying a credit card bill, but you can just go anytime you want. So today it was going to be like, it tops 80 degrees, high 70s, beautiful day, a little cloud cover, a little breeze. It was beautiful. So we went to Epcot for like 4 hours, and then we came back, So we could do that any day we want now. It's very
Did you
nice.
take the baby? Did you take the baby?
Well, actually, we all went yesterday. All 5 of us went yesterday with
Nice.
the baby. We went to the Hollywood Studios, which is another part of Disney where they have, stuff from Star Wars and all this other stuff that they do. And, and she's having her birthday party there, too. We're going on, the baby's birthday is the 18th, and we have reservations there to go for dinner, and she gets to see all the the characters, the Mickey and Minnie and Donald and the princesses. They all come by while you're eating dinner, and she gets her picture taken with them. So
Nice.
yeah, it's very, very enjoyable for all of us, because our daughters have the passes also. So it is nice here. I got to say that. I do.
Hey, let me ask you about your sister-in-law. This is a baseball show, but your sister-in-law was ailing a little bit. Is she improved?
Well, she has a cardiac doctor appointment on the 12th, so everything's kind of status quo until she goes to see him. So, nothing further to report.
Good vibes from us. How about that?
Thank you.
For sure.
All right. Robert, what's your experience these days in Florida like?
Oh, very good. I work a little part-time driving a charter bus, and keeps me in a couple extra dollars for fun money, and very nice, I'm enjoying it.
Good. How long has it been since you're in Florida?
I've been in Florida since 1987.
Wow, indeed.
And right after the Mets won the World Series in '86, we figured, okay, it's time to go.
Did you guys almost turn it off in the 6th game in the 9th inning? Did you guys come close?
I was working that night, Ralph. I was a security supervisor at the Park and Meridian Hotel in Manhattan, and I was at the desk at the time checking all the monitors, and I had it on the radio. And once the final out was made, all of a sudden there was an emergency in the bar, and had to go running out there. Okay, and this guy was choking his wife or girlfriend or whatever. We dragged the guy out, okay, and as we're dragging him to the office, he says, "Don't you fuckers know who I am?" Excuse the language. And we both looked down. It was Elvis Costello.
Whoa. I hope he wasn't choking Diana Kroll.
Well, it was supposedly his wife or girlfriend. I don't remember. And the reason why this happened was she was rooting for the Mets and he was rooting for the Red Sox. They had it on in the bar, and then when that craziness happened and the Mets won, I guess she started, laughing in his face, and that got him pissed off, and so that started a whole little thing going on. But that's my remembrance of the 6th game.
No, I definitely watched right to the end. I think Barn was visiting me then. I think he was at the house that. I'm sure he was that day. We watched that game together, and definitely that Bob Murphy call. I mean, every time you listen to MLB, they play Vince Scully, I think. But yes,
they do.
But the Bob Murphy call is the one. It's so good because, and it's a ground ball to first. Gets by Buckner, like it's from dead to alive. I mean, just the inflection in his voice. It's unbelievable, Yep. That was so good.
Keith Hernandez tells the story that he was in the locker room. He figured it was all over. He had his spikes off and he was drinking a beer when all of a sudden everybody started hitting.
Mookie claims that he would have beaten that out if Buckner would have caught it. Would have fielded it.
He may have, but I think that's why Buckner didn't catch it. He took his eye off the ball to watch Mookie coming down the line.
Oh, that's very possible.
Yeah, I think that's what happened. And, of course, he wasn't all that agile either, at first base. Probably his legs probably felt like mine do now after walking Disney 2 days.
But,
Peggy goes in the store, and I'm looking for a shady place to sit down, That's basically it.
She says, "We'll come and pick up Grandpa later. Let him sit in the shade for a while."
Absolutely. Oh, brother.
Marty, you have to get one of those walking sticks that have a chair attached to it.
Oh man, I'm watching these people with these things that you ride. I mean, I can't do that. I mean, I'd feel comfortable doing it, but I can't do that. I can't.
No.
But I tell you one thing: when we went yesterday with the baby, we went into one of these kid things, and it was like a show for Disney Junior, all little tiny kids, and you had to sit on the floor. Yeah. I had trouble sitting on the floor, but I had more trouble getting up from the floor. I had Peggy and one of my daughters out trying to get me up from the floor. It was so uncomfortable. Oh my God! They're playing music for the kids, and they're jumping up and down, and it was a lot of fun for them, but not much for me. So.
Okay. Well, going down, you had an assist from gravity.
Yes, this is true. Very true.
Put a little asterisk in there. You got down in 5.5 seconds, but there's an asterisk because of gravity. Anyway. What's coming up this week for the Mets that's interesting? It'll be telltale. Oh, by the way, deGrom's stint on the mound the other day was absolutely unbelievably crisp. If you want to know how, this guy with 3 in a row, the potential of 3 in a row, he could seal Hall of Fame this year. Well,
yeah, if that happens, for sure.
If, could be the best pitcher of our time. Not of our time, but of this time. Let's put it that way.
Could be.
And
pitch what, 3 innings his first time out?
Yeah.
I think. 1 hit, 2 Ks? Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
Okay. The pitching as a whole has been very, very good. The only blip was Edwin Diaz's first time out when he got banged around pretty good. But he pitched, I think in the deGrom game, he came in and pitched an inning, a clean inning other than a hit, and he looked pretty decent then. So, but the pitching looking very good. That's why, with the 6 guys all vying for those starting spots, you don't know who's going to get it between Matz, Porcello, and Walker. Walker pitched, I think, 3 innings also, 3 clean innings. So.
Yeah, but what you said about moving Matz, Robert, is very interesting to me because he came off his last start with kind of a chip on his shoulder, and he said, I'm a starter. I want to be a starter. And maybe they won't be happy having him forcing the issue like that, given the last 3 years of inconsistency. There's that, and there's also his second half performance last year far exceeded his first half performance. What the hell is that?
Sorry about
Hello? Oh, that's you. I thought it was my phone. My phone goes off all the time. Yeah. So that's a dilemma, and that's something to look for. But like you say, their pitching has been great. Waiting for the hitting to come around.
Okay, and like I wrote on the website, the first 25 days of the season, okay, the Mets have 3 off days in the first 12 days, and then they play 13 straight days. So, it's not a deal where, they'd be able to, put 2 guys in the bullpen or something like that. They're going to need everybody. Maybe they can use 6 starters a little bit during that stretch. Who knows?
Yeah, and they've also changed the rules a little bit to make it more difficult to call up a pitcher and kind of rotate them and use the schedule as a determination. I think you have to be up for, if you're on the DL, it has to be for 10 days as a player, 15 as a pitcher now. So that's going to change things a little bit this year.
Yeah, I mean, you have the 3 batter rule, okay, that is going to come into play. 13 pitcher maximum on the roster is a must now too. So we'll have to see. A couple of different things. They raised the roster from 25 to 26, and while that doesn't seem like a lot, it gives teams some flexibility.
Absolutely, and they've lowered the number of players they can call up in September too.
Correct.
Right, only 2 more guys, 28.
Right, 28.
Yeah, I got a question about that. I don't know if anybody's brought it up or you guys have heard anything about that 28 number. Can that be changed on a daily basis? I mean, can you take somebody off and then replace them with somebody else, as long as it's 28?
Very good question. Yeah.
I mean, because you could take a starter.
Yeah, that is a good question. Because
you could take a starter out that's not going to pitch for 5 days, and activate another somebody else. So I haven't heard that brought up at all. So maybe we should look into that.
Yeah, I'm going to make a couple of emails and see if I can find out.
Good.
Yeah. I also heard, I think it was Howie Rose was pontificating about the change in strategy now that you can't, the 3-batter rule changes the strategy in another way. It takes out the strategy, but it changes it in the sense that when a manager makes out the lineup, he's cognizant of not to put 2 righty batters in a row, that sort of thing. So that I don't know. In other words, by changing lefty to righty, it eliminates bringing in a situational pitcher. So any changes in the strategy will bring on other changes, that sort of thing. That was very well said, I might add, just to compliment myself. That was 15 seconds of absolute drivel.
Actually, Ralph, a lot of managers have been doing that. If you look at lineup construction in the past, they've been doing that just so pitchers had to be used. You bring in a lefty. Well, then when a righty comes up, well, then you got to bring in a righty, and then a lefty's coming up, so you got to bring in a lefty. So yeah, you did make sense for what you said. Now it's even more prominent because they're going to be doing that back and forth thing, and you have to determine who you're going to bring in. Okay, the only time the 3-batter rule doesn't come into effect is on the last out of the inning. So if you have a lefty, big lefty coming up, and you bring in the lefty to face him, even though there's right-handed batters coming up behind him, if you get that lefty out, you can take that pitcher out if it's the last out of the inning.
End of the inning, yeah, exactly.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm glad I was able to strategize for you guys and put it all into place.
You set that up perfectly for us, Ralph.
Yeah, well, that's how I am. All right, guys, what a terrific show, as per usual, let's say. Comfortably Zoned Radio Network. I have Marty Rose and Robert Cole, the 2 Met Mavens, and the show is the Mets in the Zone. I'm Ralph Tyko, the weak link of it all. Thanks for being here, guys, and thank you all out there for listening. We're out. Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
The proceeding has been a Comfortably Zoned network production. You are advised to keep your dreams wet, your humor dry, your children and grandchildren out of military recruiting offices and off the laps of clerics who wear dresses. Thank you for listening, everyone. Happy trails.